make. And every year I watch the fellows and watch their journey, and the most powerful piece for me, and it's actually been good learning for me because it's made me think larger about my own potential, but it's watching people and the understanding, the empathy, the kinds of decisions and choices people make, and that they make every single day. Because it's not just about their journey and what they do in India, it's about who they become and the character with which they're going to live their lives.
And Roopal, who do you see yourself as having become as a result of your engagements with Grassroots India in the last 10 years?
I'd like to believe that I've become a person who lives her values. I'm really moved by Gandhi and his quest for truth. And the search is not for truth in the sense of justice, but truth in the sense of a higher meaning, something that's universal to all of us. And I feel like more and more, I find myself attracted to understanding what that is in everything, from my interaction with a rickshaw driver to my interaction with the fellows to even the conversations I'm having here with people in development. You know, it's an understanding that is more universal than who I'm going to become in terms of my profession or in terms of, you know, what the legacy that I'll leave behind.
You know, this is fascinating because in development thinking, we often talk about how you cannot deliver development from the heights of power. You have to know your own voice, your own sort of reflective understanding of yourself, which you then take to the field. And quite clearly, your fellows are able to do that. But what is it that they are bringing to the ground that people engage with and want from, say, the Indian diaspora in the United States or the Caribbean or Africa? Our
fellows have really strong educational backgrounds. We've had a person who's graduated from medical school this year. We have a lot of people with masters in public health. We have a fellow this year who's an engineer, lots of engineers, but one in particular who has a sports management degree, who's working to create a sports culture, one that thinks of sport for development. And so there is this training as well as sort of literary education and sort of literature review that I think a lot of us come with, because there's a sense that there are other people in the world who have made contributions. And to be able to think critically about that and to bring that to a space where you're willing to enmesh that with the actual sort of listening to people on the ground and actually being able to be a part of their lives and their stories. One of the things that we value at IndiCorps is simple living. And part of it's a tool so that you can actually understand somebody else's life, but part of it is also an appreciation for what
So they're bringing their humility as well as the human resources and engaging in people's lives in a dialogue really about development. What do they carry back with themselves?
There's just so many stories about fellows who have made really different decisions when they've come back. A lot of them go on to very traditional careers. Many people have joined business school and law school, and some of the best. We have so many people at Harvard and at the University of Michigan and Georgetown and throughout the country, you know, all the way to California. It isn't a question of the kinds of professions they enter, it's the approach with which they do so. You know, Neil Jain, one of our fellows who've just returned, who started at Wharton Business School, was talking to me about his 860 people in his cohort, and he says, I just want them to see that business is about people, and as long as we don't forget that there are people at the bottom of this, and it isn't just about money. And this is a guy who was on Wall Street for 4 years before he came to IndiCorps. You know, so to walk away with that, still entering a very traditional profession, you know, and knowing that that's what's at the core of this, I believe will help him make really strong decisions, even in the world of business.
Tell me a little bit about the projects and how you find them.
We spend a lot of time, and we're honored because there's so many amazing people doing really strong grassroots work, people who've committed their lives to very, very, very seemingly small issues that have had tremendous impact. We've worked with the Gandhi Ashram in Ahmedabad itself to sort of promote Gandhi's message, all the way to working in Uttarakhand with an organization that does micro-hydro, where they put in sort of in the river, it's actually in the Ganga, little dams to create electricity for places that are otherwise have no access. And our project wasn't the electricity, but how does a community utilize electricity well to build community? Because there's also been great examples of how when electricity comes, people get TVs, and it actually makes them disconnect rather than connect to the world because they forget about local community.
Right.
So there's everything a lot of it is based on community building, but you can do that from education and working to strengthen, science teaching and making it a little bit more experiential, to actually working on infrastructure projects. We had one in Karnataka, small-scale infrastructure development, which was about using solar energy to create lanterns for hawkers. So there's tremendous opportunity in a number of sectors, whether you're an engineer or somebody who has an education background or a public health background, to really make a difference. But it matters with what the community needs. And so we try to get our fellows to really give selflessly of every single moment. A year is not a very long time to do a project in India, to do a project anywhere, frankly. And so we ask them to think about using that fully for purposes of both self-development, which we think is incredibly tied to societal transformation.
How can the Indian diaspora help you? What can we do to help IndiCorps' mission?
We're honored that the Indian diaspora has been such a great part of IndiCorps already. The kind of values that the fellows have been instilled with are what it is that we build upon. It's a foundation, a very strong foundation. Most of our donations come from parents of young people who believe in this mission, that young people can and will make a difference. There's a lot more information that's available on our website, but it is a community effort already.
Roopal Shah, thank you so much for appearing on Darshan TV and for your meaningful and poignant work in India. Congratulations on IndiCorps' 10th anniversary and on your birthday.
Thanks, JP. Thanks, Darshan.